Marketing Monday. We're so excited that you're here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brittany Sweeney with oh my goodness, let me start over. Today, I guess tongue-tied. I'm Brittany Sweeney with the Livestock Conservancy. I'm the communications manager. I am working on my communication skills.
That's funny.
And here with me today, I have the amazing Samantha Gasson from the Food Animal Concerns Trust, and also the amazing Laura Jensen, pig nerd and entrepreneur from Jensen Reserve and all the other Meishan pig organizations, which is awesome. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Sam, do you want to introduce yourself? And then Laura, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I will go first then. So I am really actually more than a little bit excited to hear what Laura has to say. I love that she identifies as a pig nerd and entrepreneur. I love that. Two of my favorite things in the world, pig nerds and entrepreneurs. So I work for the Food Animal Concerns Trust. I am part of their humane farming program. And a lot of you may not know what the Food Animal Concerns Trust does, but the Food Animal Concerns Trust, or FACT, we are a national nonprofit organization, and we're headquartered in Illinois. We work to ensure that all food-producing animals are raised in a humane and healthy manner. We accomplish this by supporting humane farmers, promoting policies that make foods from animals safe and healthy to eat, and helping consumers make informed food choices. And my friend Larissa and I, who's my coworker, we work with livestock and poultry farmers all over the country, and we offer grants, scholarships, personalized materials, mentorship program, and webinars. And all of that can be found on our website, which is foodanimalconcerns.org. And I also own, with my husband, Bull City Farm in North Carolina.
Great.
All right. Wonderful. I love what you do there, Samantha. One of my goals is always to give my animals the best life possible. So I love that that's an organization that supports that. So I'm Laura Jensen. I'm the head pig nerd when it comes to the Meishan pig. I established the pathway in the U.S. to prove that the Meishan had a place in the retail storefront. I do it in my farm store every day. We also developed our own charcuterie line. We're the only place in the world you'll find AMBA certified Meishan pork prosciutto. I do other cures as well. Like I said, I have a farm store that's Jensen Reserve. It's open 6 days a week here on my farm. I have Meishan Preservation, and that is my live pig operation, which is kind of like what's left of the foundation herd for, the Meishan. And then the third business that I operate as the president of is the American Meishan Breeders Association. So I wasn't the original founder of that organization, but the person that did in 2020 was ready to retire. So that's how Meishan Preservation and the AMBA president role kind of came here in the middle of COVID, in the middle of a crazy time. So I've had to learn a lot quick on my feet. The Meishan has gone from, almost extinct to I just literally registered hog number 500 last Thursday. So yeah, we're making great progress.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's just gonna, kind of explode from here. So there's a lot going on around here. I love to talk about my pigs and charcuterie and the Meishan and everything that the Livestock Conservancy has done for us as well.
That's so awesome. I can attest your Meishan charcuterie is amazing. It's so good. So if you ever get a chance, you should go to her store and try it. It is delicious.
Do you ship?
I can ship charcuterie. You can order it on our website. If you order over $30, it's free shipping. The website's a little cumbersome, but look for that to be updated sometime in July, where it'll be a much easier pathway to see what I can ship. Raw meats is not something that I can ship right now. We'll get there in time, but charcuterie and some of our proprietary spices and things like that, absolutely.
I think I need to order some prosciutto.
Please do. Yeah.
It is excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about all of the marketing that you're doing, because you're doing an awesome job on all three fronts there.
Thank you.
What kind of social media are you running?
So right now we focus on Instagram and Facebook. When we started, those were the two biggest ones out there, Facebook especially. It's really simple for us because you can link your Instagram account to your Facebook account. So that means we can post in one place and it gets listed in two different places. We do have a TikTok channel. We just haven't quite got our hands around posting in that regularly, but I know we're tagged in a lot of products on there.
TikTok is hard.
Yes.
I just don't even think I can go there.
Yeah. Fortunately, one of my crew loves social media, and she is passionate about what we do. So it makes it really easy because really she handles social media on Jensen Reserve, which is the biggest of the three right now. And then I'm working on Meishan Preservation and the Breeders Association.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, it helps. My daughter has taken over our social media, and it is like so much better than when I was doing it. I mean, it was terrible when I was doing it.
Well, we get pulled in so many directions as the the primary on the farm that it's really helpful to have somebody that has an eye that can jump in.
And who cares? Because I just didn't care.
Yes, there's that.
Number one, find a younger person to help you out.
Yes, definitely.
So, Brittany, Joyce asked that we could share a link to Laura's store. I'm assuming, Joyce, you want the store and not or do you want the? Were you more interested in the Meishan information?
I've got all three. So if you want to go to Laura's website, it's jensenreserve.com. And then you can follow her on Facebook at Jensen Reserve. And I assume it's at Jensen Reserve on Instagram as well.
There's a farm on the end on Instagram, Jensen Reserve Farm. If there's not Meishan prosciutto there today, we are cutting more tonight. So, if it's not there, take a look tomorrow. We'll have it all fixed.
Nice.
Excellent.
And then the Meishan Preservation website is www.meishanpreservation.com. So go there and check that out. And then the other one, the American Meishan Breeders Association, is meishanbreeders.com. So go and check out all of those websites.
Thank you.
So I'm already looking. I'm already searching you on Instagram.
Okay.
But my internet,
they're all three there too.
Not cooperating.
I hope you get lots of new followers.
Yes.
I definitely would be following you.
Well, how do you decide which content you should put on your social channels, or is that something that your helper helps you do?
So I look at it from three different perspectives. One, is it something that we are excited about, and therefore we want to tell the world about it, so we go there. Two, is it something that our customers are excited about or curious about? So if they've asked a question, odds are somebody else has that question. So we address it there. And then the third thing that I look at when I post is it information that I need to share with others? Maybe it's class dates, registration information, things like that. That's a great way to reach a lot of people at one time.
Awesome. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using any tools that kind of help you keep everything going, or you're just like, I got this?
So there is a hashtag Selector, I'm going to call it, and I don't know the name of it. I can find out and get you that later. But it's an app that we added for free. And when you start typing in a hashtag, like I can start typing in Meishan and it'll bring up everything Meishan and how many posts there are with it. So that way I can target my hashtags to know that I'm following in the right audience. And like I said, that's a free thing that I use. And I'm sure there's several of them out there, but that's huge because we don't have a ton of time to research hashtags. So that's a big one. If you have a business account with Facebook, they push you to what's called Business Suite or Meta, and you have the ability to schedule posts there. We're still getting used to that. We still have so many moments we're like, oh, look what we did, cool, post it. We don't always think ahead like that. But that's the next goal is, especially on the AMBA side for me, as I see all these people that are members of the association and they're having piglets on the ground. And we all know the challenges of piglets and Facebook, shall we say. I would like to use that scheduling tool to let more people know, hey, this guy here, this girl here had these piglets, on the ground kind of thing. So that's what we look at and what we use and what we find to be a good fit.
That's awesome. I had not heard of that hashtag generator, and that's so helpful.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could share that, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. I'll figure out what the name of it is and get it to you guys.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I find that a lot of people find us through hashtags on Instagram, and that's really helped us grow.
And I'm of the generation that I don't know that I get it. I don't search anything by a hashtag, but the reality is people are searching things by hashtags, so it needs to be out there.
I find that I'll do a post and then I'll totally forget about the hashtags, and then I have to go back in the comments and write the hashtags because I just forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited about doing a post and wanting to do it, so I forget.
I love it. I love all of your recipes that show up on Instagram and Facebook. Or how do you come up with those recipes?
So again, there's a couple approaches to that. My husband and I both grew up where it was his mother and my grandmother that taught us how to cook. And it wasn't by recipes. It was by smell. It was, how does it taste? And I find that ability is strong with me in that, does this smell like it goes together? Which I know sounds really weird, but I'm good at that. So that's how a lot of things come about. Is it's like we're working on a new spice for chicken wings, and it's something that my husband Bill has created in the house with some unique things that we just love it. So we're gonna work on marketing that. Some other tools that are important to note with recipes as a butcher shop or anybody out there that has animal cuts that they need to move. Recipes is probably the number one way to do that. It's just helping people understand how to use your product. So if there's something that you need to move, go find some recipes. You make sure it's something that you would approve to, and share those with others. So we do that a lot as well.
I think that's a good point. You really, it's always good to have recipes, I think, but that point of make sure you try the recipe before you share it. Because I've done that before where it's just like, I'll just get a recipe together and then, find one and be like, oh yeah, you can do this with pork chops. And then I try it myself and I'm like, what was I thinking? Yeah. Nobody wants to eat this.
Right. So
they have to be tried and true.
Yeah, but something that can help you that I also use, if I'm not sure, I will search that recipe and then I'll see how many 5-star responses there is, how many stars, how highly was it rated, and then that way I have an idea of if I'm on the right path or not.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah. I actually now have a woman as a customer who just loves to cook, and she and I just geek out about cooking all the time. And so she's taken over, and she, in my newsletter once a week, she takes a product that's usually in my meat share box, and then she will pull out of her very extensive library a recipe, and then she'll cook it and take pictures of it. It's wonderful. It's amazing.
That's perfect. And then you don't have to mess up the kitchen.
Thank you. She gets me excited. So then I want to cook what recipe I just put in my newsletter. So I still mess up the kitchen.
Yeah. We're actually launching a different take on this from the farm store. We're in our third week of it. It's called Ideal Meals, or an ideal meal, meaning that we're taking our farm products. It's a meal that's a 1-pan meal, 30 minutes or less, and is probably keto or in that family. And it's been a huge hit. So I think that's something that I think you'll see grow amongst small farmers like us. Yeah. If I'm not taking up too much time as far as sharing my philosophy on this, I also feel strong that we're going to have less and less people that know how to take a pound of ground beef and a pound of ground pork and know how to turn it into something. So if we can help them do that or do that for them, that's where our longevity is. So that's where the ideal meal was created.
Did you find during COVID that things changed a lot, pre-COVID to during COVID, that people all of a sudden were a lot more interested in cooking at home, and so then there was a lot more interest in recipe sharing and that kind of thing? Did you find that as well in Georgia?
Yeah, for us it was huge. It was a game changer, and I actually feel like I'm just now getting a little bit of rest from that experience. So what happened with us when the grocery stores ran out of food, everybody came here, and we literally grew 800% in 2 weeks. And that was
Wow.
that was significant. And so the side of it, and this could be a whole nother conversation, grateful, absolutely. But there were treacherous parts in that when you grow that fast, can you package things? Can you get things? And all those things came up. So COVID was huge, I think, for the small farm, not just us. I think it woke up a lot of people, not only that they had better support their local farm if they want us to be here, but I see a lot more interest in Meishan hogs because they're an ideal homestead hog. So a lot of people just simply want to know that they have a secure food source in their backyard. So it was multifaceted for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. So, I know Brittany has a list of questions to ask you, and this is not really.
For it. No,
I'm just curious. I don't know much about the Meishan hog. Can you tell me, like, what size are they? Like, are they guinea hog size? Or are they Berkshire size? Can you just tell me a little bit about the hog? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Ask me about my pigs all day long. Yeah, so they're considered in between. They're classified as a medium-sized hog, and that means that they stay in that 400 to 500 pound range. Now, I'll tell you from my experience, I have been raising the registered Meishan longer than anyone else in the country, and we could only take what information we had when we started to develop that number. Last year, I processed a sow that was a guesstimated live weight at my processor of 720 pounds. So to say that they're all going to stay small is not necessarily accurate, but to say what the consistent number is, we still have, there's 3 lines that we look at in the Meishan, and there's varying body types within them. So some of that dictates what your litter size is and your hanging weight is. But that's kind of another tangent, back to the big picture of the Meishan. So like we were talking earlier, I needed a kinder, gentler pig. I had the man-eaten large breed hogs, and I couldn't do it, but I love the pork. So at that time, there were guinea hogs and cooney coons, and I don't have anything against them. Don't get me wrong. But when you're used to getting 220 pound hanging weights in 6 months, that's a big change.
Yeah, I don't know. I like they're so cute, and we actually had American guinea hogs. Those were our first hogs, and I think we had them. We processed them once, and that was it. We were just like, oh no, we can't do that. And, but the cooney coons are so cute, and I want to raise some cooney coons, but I think my husband would divorce me if we got any of those itty bitty hogs.
Because that was my choice, and I was like 18 months, 90 some pound hanging weight at that time, and now it may be different now. That was a lot of pigs on my pasture, and I needed a different solution. So I had bought a Livestock Guardian Dog for my chickens from Rico Silvera, and I reached out to him with his weird pigs, and at that time he had just finalized the deal to buy the research herds from the last 2 facilities of the 3 that they were located in Georgia. So I jumped in with them and have been really pleased. They don't eat our chickens. They do root some. I know, isn't that a great description? They don't eat chickens. I
love it.
They're shallow rooters, as far as they're not going to dig a hole to China. I have grass in pastures that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So, they're easy on the land. They're docile to handle. Their litter sizes, I think our record on the books is 19 per litter. Some of that is back to the genetics and the makeup and things like that. And then the meat is really delicious. Like you could say that a Berkshire has a delicious flavor and color. The Meishan is the same, but the Meishan is its own standalone in that its flavor profile is unique. Its color red. I know there's other things there, but the number of pigs per litter is also unique. So you actually don't need as many Meishans on your farm to get the same litter output that you do from some other breeds.
How would they compare to like Mangalitsa?
So I've got several breeders that have both, and I'm really looking forward to getting more feedback from them. I suspect that they're both lard hogs, so you're gonna have a little more lard there. I suspect that the meat yield is a little more for the Meishan than it is the Mangalitsa, but I can't say that for sure at this point. Like I said, I know I've got 2 breeders that have both pure Meishan and Mangalitsa, and I'm anxiously awaiting the results in their opinion.
So this has been this is pre-COVID. I was at the Carolina Meat Conference. I don't know if you're familiar with it. NC Choices puts it on every other year, and then they do the Women in Meat the alternate year. It's a fantastic conference. So if any of you can ever get to it, you should, if they ever do it again, which I'm sure they will. It's a wonderful conference. But they did a direct comparison at the last one between a Cooney Coon, and they had 4 different butchers. They did a Cooney Coon. It was like Berkshire and an Ossabaja, and then one of my Mangalitzas. And they were all roughly, I think they were at the weight you would do for hanging weight. So it's like we weren't trying to make the Cooney Coons compared to like a Berkshire or anything.
Yeah.
But then
comparing like chops to chops. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what they did is they had 4 different butchers, and they were instructed on how, and they did it in front of everybody. So that was really cool. Yeah. And then they butchered all 4 breeds, and then they weighed all of they weighed all of the cuts, and they were told to do exactly how they were supposed to do it. Pork chocks, ribs in or bone in and whatever the kind of stuff. And then they weighed it all, and the Mangalitsa came out really far ahead, and the Ospaha was next to the Mangalitsa. But I think it was not really fair because they didn't trim any of the fat off of the Mangalitsa. So I think sample cuts, they really should have put, a limit as to how much fat could be on that pig. Yeah. But anyway, so that was really interesting to see, because and then the Cooney Coon, it was just sad. I felt really bad for the Cooney Coon person, because not only were they teeny tiny, eensy weensy, adorable, but then their yield was terrible. It was just like everything, it just didn't work out well.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I know on one cut, for example, so my husband and I developed our own American charcuterie style butcher cut for the Meishan in our butcher shop. And so one of the things that we do is we take the whole kappa muscle. We don't work in Boston butts, which is where the kappa comes from, because there's more value in the kappa for us. When I grow out my pigs to my 14, 15 months and I'm at my 300 to 330 pound hanging weight, that muscle is 5.5 to 6.5 pounds. And when I've looked at it on the Berkshire side, as far as the technical manuals I have, it beats out that on the weight. So I don't know if that's any help, but that's one specific thing we know to date.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. One of the neat things about the Meishan to me is we're on our 6th year now, and they were held in confinement. At least 2 of the 3 lines were, and they were never really held for longevity. They were used in research studies or a control to go against some other hog. So we're learning everything as we go. It's like I tell people, we are literally writing the book on these pigs every day, and what we do and what we learn and what we can find out about the Meishan. So I just think what a great time, to be a part of this.
So I came into this not liking the Meishan because they're weird looking, but now I love them, and now I want one. I need to convince you.
Yes. Yeah. So when I was talking to Rico when we first started this, and we're like, how do we market these pigs? They're kind of ugly.
Really ugly.
We were like, well, they look like a Shar-Pei.
They do. They look like
nobody's gonna eat a meat pig marketed as a Shar-Pei dog.
The porcine Shar-Pei.
Right. So we decided not to touch that one.
Well, bringing that back around, it sounds like you've overcome that challenge of, marketing a homely.
Yeah.
Homely hog.
Yeah. We just call them ugly cute because they really are. They're so cute.
So somebody else asked, what about the red wattle? How do they compare? Do you have an idea?
I do not. I don't have experience there. We do have a breeder in Wisconsin that is very heavy in the red wattles. I think it is Epic Nature Farm, and he now has Meishans. I don't know that he has litters on the ground. I know he bought several breeders last year, so I can't really speak to that. But Ryan may be willing to talk about it.
Great.
And then there's somebody else saying that they're going to take their 11-month-old Mangalitsa to the processor, and they have. Oh, sorry. There we go. I'm like taking over your job, Brittany. Make me stop.
She was so excited. She's like, "We have a question."
I'm curious about. Sorry, Brittany.
You just love talking about pigs. It's great.
That's right. Pig nerds unite.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for, letting us know about your 11-month-old Mangalitsa going to the processor.
Well, and Terry and David were actually some of the first people I worked with when everything transferred from Rico. So they are doing great work with the Meishan. I visited with Terry on the Great Trip North a few weeks ago on our USDA project. So the cows are doing a great job in Kentucky with their Meishans as well.
That's awesome. Great job,
Terry, you'll have to follow up and tell us what you find out. I'd be really curious.
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
And Kathy also says, Laura, you look great. Love your farm.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. And then let's see. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining us. Rachel says, love this.
Yeah, if I can help with anything, let us know. I don't mind helping, whether you bought them for me or whatever. I'm always happy to talk Meishan. So let me know if I can help.
That's awesome.
Yep. All right, and I think that's got us caught up there. Okay.
I think so. All right. Keep your questions coming for Laura.
Sorry, I will totally interrupt everything and share them.
No, it's great. We're really excited to answer all your questions.
That is how I handle social media, just like that.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, so the serious questions.
Can I ask a question about, so do you actually cure your own meats, or are you sending it out? Very important.
Now, I don't do bacon, and here's why. I started out dry aging bacon and making our own pepperoni. And, my husband and I started this as a side hustle. We didn't know. Anyhow, between the community and what's happening with the Meishan, everything exploded. So my processor could make bacon, but they can't make pepperoni. So I put bacon with them. I make pepperoni, capicola, bresaola, lonzina, of course, prosciutto. And then we have a new biltong style bresaola as well.
So what are the rules and regulations in Georgia about that? I know in North Carolina, we have to go through our state ag department. Do you have to do USDA, or do you have a state ag department that's pretty active?
That's a great question. And it confuses a lot of people between what does USDA mean. Typically, when people hear USDA, they think federal level. And I understand that on the processing side. And I do have to use a federal level processor or slaughterhouse so that I can ship my product to you in the end, so I can cross state lines with it.
Right.
But I am not licensed for wholesale, so therefore I am not at a federal level for my charcuterie. So I can ship it out retail because I'm USDA state licensed across state lines. Now, you're asking about additional licensing? Absolutely. HACCP plans are required for that, and they have to be approved, and we follow them every single day. And if you guys are new to HACCP plans, that stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point. And what that means is we've identified every place in our process that something could go awry, and have a system to address it, so that in the end, the product is consistent and it's safe for the consumer. So it is a lot of licensing. It took me several years to actually accomplish that. When I started with the prosciutto license, I reached out to one of the companies that you see, we'll write your plan for you, because I didn't know what I was getting into. And when I asked, they said, well, it's going to cost somewhere between $3,500 or over $150,000. We're not sure. I can tell you, I can't do that second one. Cannot do that. So, that was just, yet another moment where you got to kind of step back and figure out, what are you really trying to accomplish? I was able to do enough research on existing HACCP plans and marry that with what my husband and I created, and the $29 Adobe software, and me wrote our own HACCP plans. And my state HACCP guy has approved them. I've worked with him closely. He's a phenomenal guy. And in my case, my state USDA has been there to help me every step of the way. Now, I know that's not the case with all areas of the USDA, but I can't say enough good things about how they help me accomplish my goals.
So when you talk about your state USDA, you're talking about the Talmadge-Aiken Act?
I'm going to have to say no, since I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
So back like in the 40s or something, so we have a Talmadge Act here, where we were one of the states. North Carolina is one of the states that bought into Talmadge, and it's the TA. It's called TA. So you can have a TA certified facility, and that is a state run, but it's a USDA facility that is run by the state. So the inspectors are from the state and that kind of stuff. So mainly in slaughterhouses. I don't know about, so we have like my USDA USDA processor is a Talmadge USDA inspected processor, which is a state USDA inspected processor. So it may be something different. I was just curious.
It is. And
I just found out about this recently, so I like to put it into any conversation I can possibly.
Yeah. And, I have friends in North Carolina that raise hogs, and I find that North Carolina's ag laws are much better for the small farmer than they are here in Georgia.
You're lucky.
I don't have knowledge of that here. As far as my licensing, my initial licensing is the same as a butcher shop at a grocery store. That's what it started as. So we do have USDA state inspectors. I have one assigned to my region. They stop by anytime they want to. I'm under annual inspection with them unless they want to do otherwise. I tend to see them multiple times a year because Jensen Reserve is always growing and evolving. So our spice line, for example, that's, gluten-free, sugar-free, soy-free, we're about to go wholesale with that. And in doing wholesale, you now become a mixed-use manufactured foods type facility as well as that. Yeah, so licensing, somebody told me the other day I should count how many we have. We probably have 10 or 12 under our belt, and just learned that if we want to wholesale our dairy products, which is like Buttermilk Ranch, that we also have to become a licensed wholesale dairy facility. So we'll be adding that to our list here soon.
So Kathy did clarify. Thank you, Kathy. That Georgia does have Talmadge. Okay. All right, which actually, what you're talking about, it sounds like that is Talmadge. Not every. So I work with people all over the United States, and I think Georgia is actually pretty good. North Carolina is really good. California is really good as far as having rules and support on the state level for the small farmer. But you go to some places like Washington State, it really stinks. Like they don't have any kind of state processing. It's really rough. It's hard. There are a lot of states like that, but the Talmadge states those tend to be the more progressive states. Not necessarily progressive, but progressive with in regards to supporting small ag.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Like I said, I just learned about it recently, and I'm showing off a little bit. I don't know enough to be really very useful. So thank you, Kathy.
Congrats to you, Laura, for all those licenses and keeping all that straight. I'm sure that's difficult, and that's super impressive.
Thank you.
So if you have any questions, reach out to Laura. She might be able to help you. She is an expert.
Yes, I think you can call yourself an expert, Laura. You need to add that: pig nerd, entrepreneur, and expert on licensing.
Yeah, by fire. You know how that goes.
I'm pretty sure we learn everything that way.
Yes.
At least in farming.
Yeah.
So figure it out and just go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to bring it back to marketing, even though we had this wonderful tangent. It's all great information. I know I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
But, it's important to have all these things in place before you start being like, hey, buy all these things that I might not be registered to actually legally sell you.
Yeah. And even getting licensed as a butcher shop was a challenge. If we didn't have a building that we could use, which was our barn apartment, if it didn't have its own septic tank and its own bathroom, things like that would have stopped us from the beginning. So definitely check your local code enforcement, see if it's allowable, and then see what the basics are in your area before you start spending that money, because it's a significant investment to open, even if you have the building.
Absolutely. That's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
So I love your website. We've talked about your website a lot. What platform are you using for your different websites?
Depends on which one you're looking at. So Jensen Reserve and Meishan Preservation are through Shopify, which is the easiest plug and play out there. That's the largest in the market. And why that matters to a small farmer is when you need an answer, you can Google that question, and oftentimes it's already out there. So you don't have to necessarily have a programmer. The other side of it is I can do some drag and drop stuff, but I'm not a programmer. And Shopify eliminates the need for that over any other thing out there. Now, they do have some things that concern me in that they've taken some political stances and pulled some things down for that. And I hope that they never look at meat like that. So anyhow, for right now, I'm really happy with them there. On the Meishan Breeders side, where we needed some more complex things, and actually Rico built that initially, that's WooCommerce, which is your other big dog on the block, but it's made more for programmers. And I do have someone that I work with that has helped me rebuild the Meishan Breeders site. I think you may have seen that, Brittany, as far as that evolution there. And so the Woo side, as we call it, does require having somebody with some type of programming knowledge to make it work.
That's good to know, because there's a ton of different platforms out there.
Yes. And I think a lot of people say Square is great to start with. We kind of skipped over that at the point with the growth from COVID. The reality is our credit card sales meant that we could work at a reduced rate for credit card fees. And Square, which I love greatly, does not discount credit card fees, period. And that was not something that I could leave on the table. So startup, it's great, but you just got to work the market like everything else.
Absolutely. No, that's really good to know, because a lot of people do online credit card sales.
Yeah.
You need to be able to take credit cards or even electronic payments. We get a lot of questions for Venmo and things like that. And I don't have it right now, PayPal. And then we do the tap payments, as they call them, at the register down there.
So who do you have your POS through, your point of sale through?
So we are using Shopify on Jensen Reserve and Meishan Preservation. And then we are using a WordPress WooCommerce solution on Meishan Preservation.
Okay. So I didn't realize Shopify had had something that you could use on site.
Yeah. Well, so as far as my apologies, as far as somebody standing there wanting to pay us right now, we've just switched over to Clover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we use Square, and that's always been because I sell at farmers markets, and so even though we have a store, having that I've always sort of, I don't know, we're at barn to door now, and I don't know how I feel about that, but still, it's like it's nice when you can have everything together. We were Square for a really long time with everything, and it was just nice. But when you start all these different programs, it's like they all have to. Anyway, it gets confusing.
Yeah, I think Square is my all-time favorite, and I was really disappointed to hear that they didn't offer discounts for volume. And just if anybody's curious, what I have found, we had surpassed this due to COVID easily, but it's 250,000 is usually the mark in annual sales, where your credit card fees can then be negotiated, or you can get lower rates than 3% per transaction.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So did you build those websites yourself? You use some templates. They all look really good.
That's because Cindy McCloskey's taken over. No, I started the Jensen site when we were, 2 weekends a month, and it was real easy for me to manage. And then once things exploded, and for me it was so COVID hit in March of 2020, and literally in the middle of that, Rico calls and says, "I want you to have the AMBA. I want you to take these pigs. I want you to take the association." And there's only one answer, but I'm chasing my tail significantly because 800% growth. So I knew at that time I had to have help. So I have a friend that has a wildlife sanctuary that she had just recently rehabbed, and I loved her website, and I found my programmer through that. And so she's actually maintains all 3 sites for me. It is really helpful for me to have gone through building some of them, so that if it's something that I can change quickly, I don't need to bother her with it. We just go make the change and keep going.
That's great. I'm so glad you were able to find somebody to help you.
Yeah, me too.
That's a big tip for today. It's okay to ask for help. There are people out there that can help you. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
Nope.
Absolutely. I love on your website that you repurpose a lot of your content. So I see that you have a blog, and then that is also feeding some of the content on your social media. And then it goes also to your newsletter. Do you want to talk a little bit about your newsletter?
Sure.
What you
So
do there?
the newsletter format really is on the American Meishan Breeders Association. And what I have found over time is that is the right format for that audience. If people have taken the time to buy registered stock and they want to know all they can about it, they're going to sit down and digest that newsletter. On the other two businesses, I feel like it speaks more to that side of us that's always busy. We're always hectic. We don't have a lot of time, but we do need solutions to things in our life, be it a pig problem or what's for dinner problem. So the newsletter is really only focused on the Breeders Association. I use blogs and emails on all of them really, but primarily on Jensen Reserve and Meishan Preservation. And the thought behind that, as far as, you want to write the blog so that someone can go find a recipe, or I have people that tell me often that they have devoured all the information in my blogs and my YouTube channel. So it's good to have that out there as well. But there's specific ways that you can write blogs so that you'll be identified via Google as a top resource within your field. So we use that technique to make sure that we're putting articles out there that will get us noticed and get us raised by Google in the analytics. I would say to others, don't be afraid to kind of play around with it a little bit, see what's best for your customer. Blogs can be written very easily and can live out there forever. Email, there's a little bit more of an art to it, in that you want to make sure that you're releasing things consistently so that your emails are going to the right box and that your customers are staying engaged with you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Consistency is always key.
Mm-hmm. And often the hardest.
Yes, absolutely. I've got my calendar and I got reminders, and sometimes life happens,
Yeah, that's our next big challenge, is we get excited about things and we have these ideas, and now we've got to take this big monster of what we've built and pull it together so that it's a unified front for everybody. We hit it sometimes, but consistency with calendars and things like that is really where that's going to come in.
Absolutely. I love that solution-driven content, and just that is really key. That's awesome. Well, is there anything maybe as we're getting ready to wrap up? I know you're a busy lady with a lot going on.
It's a big week. Memorial Day is big in the butcher shop.
That's right. It's barbecue season. It's hamburger day.
Graduation week. Yeah.
Summer is just always busy. So is there anything kind of marketing or communications related that we didn't talk about that's really helped you grow your business or grow your audience, or any tips that you'd like to make sure we hit for people?
There's a ton of things that I could say there. But I think ultimately, I appreciate you sending me the questions ahead of time so I could think through them. And I think for me, the one thing that I would tell people is that there's only one you, and your voice matters, and your voice is unique. And you're being nervous about putting yourself out there because you don't sound like me, you don't sound like Joel Soliton, you don't sound like them, is exactly where you need to be, because you're you. So don't be scared. Jump in. You're going to look back and say, probably could have done that better, but that's just farming in general, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, just jump in and be you, and you be your voice, so that we can all learn from you. I think at the end of the day, it is about community. It is about sharing who I am, who you are, who we all are. And I look forward to seeing more people come on board with this. I mean, Meishan obviously, but in general, just having that courage to take the step and do it. Just do it.
So I do have one question for you, and I know everything all sort of works together, all of these things, but if you could only choose one thing to promote your farm, because a lot of people, they can't do all those other things, they may be doing this part-time, or this is just a hobby, or whatever. So if you could only pick one thing that you would put your energy into and do really, really well as far as marketing goes, and your social media, and I say website, blog, and all of newsletter and all of that would be included in that, what would it be?
I'm afraid that ship has sailed. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we started with let's sell prosciutto and dry aged bacon, and the community and Spirit had a different plan for us. So my hope in that what we do is that we positively touch the lives of others, regardless of what it looks like and where it comes from. That I really think that's why we've been fortunate and blessed in a lot of ways in what we do, and I would just like to see that continue.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love that you said just be you. I think that's such an important part for people to remember. Doing all of the marketing and the extra stuff can be super overwhelming, and people can just be like, I'm just not going to do it. It's too much. I don't know where to start. And we do want to hear you. We want to hear the authentic you.
Yeah. And it's a hard line for farmers. We don't want to share the hard days.
Yeah.
People want to know that too.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you just have to come back to those hard days. Maybe that day's not the day, but
that's what you have to do. You have to give it a little bit of time, and then usually it'll feel like the right time when you have to tell. Yeah,
exactly. So I really appreciate you guys. Good to meet you, Samantha, and always good to see you, Brittany. You're welcome anytime. Come down. I'll make you a charcuterie board and let you try stuff.
All right. Sam and I are going to have to take a road trip.
Yes.
I think Brittany and I need to come down together. Yeah, I have a feeling this is not going to be our last conversation, Laura. It was really fun.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Well, we have reached our shameless plug section. Is there anything you'd like to plug, Laura? I've got you on the line.
Wow, that's a big one. My goal with the Meishan is to see it be successful. And I've got a lot of people that had sent me messages this morning telling me that they appreciate the work that we do here. And so my shameless plug would simply be for the Meishan and all those that love it. Whatever we can do to find its way in the food chain. I know we've proven the pathway, but there's still a long way to go as far as, with only 500 hogs registered, that's still a treacherous place to be. So, whether it be any of the three businesses, my heart is with the Meishan and its success.
Absolutely. Well, it's such an important critically endangered breed, and we appreciate all of the tornado warning. Okay. There's a tornado warning, but you know what? It's fine. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's such an important critically endangered breed, and we appreciate all the amazing work that you're doing. So I'm just going to promote your websites again. So learn more about Laura's Meishan Preservation at meishanpreservation.com, and then also the American Meishan Breeders Association at meishanbreeders.com. So we love people to eat more Meishan, get involved with Meishan. It's delicious. You got to eat them to save them.
Yep, you do.
I'm really interested in Meishans now. I've got to get over the ugliness of them, but Mangalitas are really cute and they're mean. So pretty is pretty is pretty does. What is that? Pretty is as pretty does. I don't know. That sounds like a southern.
I've never been good at those sayings. So.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Well, and I see Kelly commented. So Kelly, if I can help you, just let me know. Like I said, whether you get them for me or anybody, I'm here to help with the Meishan.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in today, Kelly.
Yes,
we're glad you're here. And Sam, did you have anything to plug?
Well, of course, the Food Animal Concerns Trust, our website. We've got a lot of past webinars that are in our archive that you can always go and view. And we also have our new and upcoming webinars are not going to happen until the fall because we take the summer off because everybody's too busy and nobody can think about it. And then of course, I would like to plug my farm shamelessly. So that's Bull City Farm, and we're in north of Durham, North Carolina. So if you feel like following us on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, it's at Bull City Farm.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I'm just going to remind everyone that if you're not a member of the Livestock Conservancy, we would love to have you become a member. And you can do so at livestockconservancy.org. So a big thank you to all of our members and supporters who help make, educational programming like this possible. We appreciate you. And a big shout out to Mana Pro for sponsoring today's Marketing Monday. We appreciate you. Thanks for doing that. And we'll be back next week. I think June is... Nope, we're not going to be next week. You're right. I was like, I think there's something coming up. It's a holiday. Well, stay tuned to Facebook. We'll put all of our events up later. We hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay, bye y'all.
Bye.
I'm going to play our Mana Pro commercial, and then have a good one, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Champions, colleagues,
roommates,
and personal trainers.
Whatever role they play,
they're an important part of our lives.
In their quiet way,
and their not so quiet way.
They keep us young.
On our feet,
on the go.
They pull us back to nature.
And push us toward the next adventure.
And as much as we count on them,
they count on us all the more.
To nurture their lives.
With the same commitment.
To protecting them.
Helping them grow.
And thrive.
Treating them.
As well as they treat us. By giving them a little more of our lives.
Because no matter what role they play,
out here
or in here,
we're here to make their lives the best they can be.
Mana Pro, nurturing life.